thunder and lightning are among the most common fears reported by kids aged 4 to 12. So why does the panic often start before the first rumble?
And maybe more importantly, how can we actually help them through it? Today in this explainer, we're diving straight into the science behind Astraphobia, that intense fear of storms and lightning. And we're going to arm you with some solid evidence-based strategies to bring a little calm back to your household.
Section 1. Anticipatory dread in children. What storm fear actually looks like. First off, take a deep breath. Be reassured that this is a completely common, developmentally normal phase for kids in this age group. When we look at extensive childhood fear surveys, storm anxiety almost always clusters right alongside things like fear of the dark or natural disasters. It's just a natural part of how children process a really vast, unpredictable world. So, hey, if your kid is hiding under the bed just at the mention of rain, you are absolutely not alone, and they're definitely not broken.
What you're actually witnessing here is called anticipatory dread. Basically, their little minds are racing ahead to the absolute worst-case scenario long before a single raindrop even hits the ground. They aren't just reacting to a loud clap of thunder, their nervous system is literally hitting the panic button based purely on the expectation that a storm is rolling in. The weather forecast itself becomes the trigger. Wild, right? Section 2. How storm fears develop. The mechanism behind the panic.
To help them get over this, we've got to understand how this specific fear actually rewires the brain. There's this distinct shift from an adaptive acoustic startle, which is just that completely normal biological jump you do when you hear a massive boom, to learned anticipatory anxiety. I mean, evolutionarily speaking, it makes total sense to be startled by a massive crash of thunder, right? That's just your brain keeping you safe. But for kids with storm fear, that helpful little startle gets sort of neurologically tangled up with chronic anxiety. They learn to associate completely harmless lead-ups to a storm, like a drop in air pressure or seeing a dark cloud, with an intense biological threat. And this shift, it's usually conditioned by a very specific trigger. Sometimes it's just one really scary storm that left a lasting impression. Other times, it's what psychologists call vicarious learning. Basically, they're picking up on a parent's visible nervousness. Think about it. If you jump and gasp every single time lightning flashes, your child's brain registers that as literal proof of danger. And finally, getting frightening verbal warnings about the weather, things like, the storm is going to get us if we don't hide, can deeply condition this anxiety. Section 3. The science of specific phobias, evidence-grounded approaches for parents. Now, knowing how this dread forms, what does the clinical data actually tell us about fixing it? Well, I want to be explicitly honest here. There are no dedicated pediatric astrophobia clinical trials. We just don't have a massive scientific study looking only at kids who fear thunder. But research on similar natural environment phobias shows us exactly what works. We lean heavily on the incredibly robust evidence base for treating specific phobias, childhood fears, and nighttime anxiety. We know from major data like the 2023 National Aspect Trial over in the UK that 5 to 10% of children experience some form of specific phobia that impacts their daily functioning. And the absolute gold standard for treating these phobias across the board? Exposure therapy. The data strongly supports cognitive behavioral principles where children gradually, safely face their fears instead of just avoiding them entirely. Section 4. A graduated exposure ladder, taking steps toward calm. And here is the best news. Research shows brief, targeted exposure treatments can be highly effective. You can actually create a really practical, graduated exposure ladder right at home. Step 1, just start with low-volume storm sounds on your phone while they're doing something super fun, like playing with blocks. Step 2, gradually bump up that volume over a series of days, making sure they stay totally relaxed. Step 3, watch videos of lightning together on a perfectly sunny day, which kind of demystifies the visual element. And finally, step 4, weathering a real storm together. The golden rule here, never ever force them to the next step until their anxiety at the current step has dropped significantly. Section 5. The power of parent modeling, how your reaction shapes theirs. Now that final step relies entirely on the most crucial tool in your toolkit, you. During a storm, projecting a calm, matter-of-fact behavior actively reduces fear transmission. You just acknowledge the storm neutrally, something like, wow, that was a loud one, let's keep reading our book. On the flip side, offering heavy reassurance, like repeatedly saying, you're okay, don't be scared, mommy's right here, and avoiding the windows actually maintains the child's anxiety. Over-reassurance accidentally signals to their little brains that, hey, there is indeed something highly dangerous happening that requires constant soothing. So keep it neutral and stay calm. Section 6. When to seek professional help. Knowing when to reach out.
While we can obviously do a lot at home, it's really important to know where the line is drawn between a totally normal childhood fear and a clinical phobia. While storm fears are highly common and usually self-limiting, meaning, kids just grow out of them naturally, there are some warning signs to watch for. If you notice the fear is persistent, lasting for 6 months or more, and it's actively impairing your child's daily functioning, like maybe they refuse to go to school if it's even a little cloudy out, or they experience severe distress avoiding normal routine activities, it absolutely warrants a professional consultation. Don't hesitate. Therapists are highly skilled at guiding kids through these exact exposure ladders. So the next time the sky starts to darken, remember that you already have the tools to shift their dread into resilience. You can rewire that panic button by taking things one gentle, graduated step at a time, all while modeling the exact calm you want to see. So what small step could you take today to help your child face the clouds with curiosity instead of panic? Fear Me Not helps kids conquer fears through play.